My name is Christy Drew with the Liberty Group. It is our pleasure to sponsor Managing Your Investment Property 101, featuring Patti Widget of Widget's Way. Real quick, the Liberty Group is actually a national multifamily staffing company. We only work in the multifamily industry, so we only staff for this industry, nothing else. So it's our jam, it's our niche. We do cover the whole state of California. We have an office here in Southern California, right in the Anaheim area, across from Angel Stadium. Georgia here is our lead down here, so she can take care of any of your staffing deficiencies you might have, maintenance, leasing, concierge, any of those sorts of things, whether you need somebody for a day, a week, or if you want to try someone out. Even, see if it's a good fit for both you and them. So if you have any questions about that, there's some information out there for you. Or we also have a booth here at 325. Stop by and say hello to us this afternoon. We are giving away Kate Spade purse, ladies and gentlemen. It might be a great thing for you to take home to someone this evening. Before I introduce our speaker, I have two important announcements, so let's get the housekeeping done here. First, if you missed out on the morning's $500 bingo card, cash drawings, and exhibit hall, you have one more chance this afternoon. The afternoon drawing will be held at 2:45 at AAOC membership booth in the back of the exhibit hall. The winner must be present to claim the $500 cash prize. Once your bingo card is fully stamped, go to the membership booth and submit it for the drawing. If you haven't already gotten started, your bingo card is inside your trade show bag and can be stamped while visiting each of the participating booths on the card. Second, be sure to visit the AAOC membership booth to take advantage of some of the special deals happening today. If you're not currently an AAOC member, if you join today at the membership booth, your $35 enrollment fee will be waived, and you will receive a complimentary registration for one education class this year. There will also be other offers and special savings today for members and prospective members alike. And now for our program. Navigating the world of property management is no walk in the park. Running a property isn't just about collecting rent, it's about juggling maintenance, addressing residents' concerns, optimizing leasing strategies, and so much more. This session will offer valuable insight and guidance for rental housing providers, no matter how new or how experienced you are. Patti Widget is founder of Widget's Way. She has more than 35 years of experience as a regional property manager and teaches a wide range of classes on property management and ownership. She has also published numerous articles for local apartment associations and has been a repeat guest speaker at UCLA. Patti holds various industry certifications related to her field, such as California Licensed Real Estate Broker, CCRM, lead-based paint certified renovator for the EPA, fair housing, and more. So please join me in welcoming Patti Widget.
I made it. All right, you guys. Hi, my name is Patti Widget. For those of you that don't know me, I'm a landlord. I was a regional property manager for 20 years. I spent the last 10 years of my career at an eviction law firm. I happen to have a photographic memory. It's kind of weird. I tend to see contracts and remember them well. I also have civil codes down well, a couple of penal codes, and a couple other things we're not going to talk about, but that's okay. So I'm here today to talk to you about property management and managing your investment property. So I wasn't sure how to give you the most information I possibly could in such a short amount of time. I did give out notebooks. If you guys need one, it looks like I have one left up here. If somebody needs to take notes, I'd be more than happy to do that. I'm going to give you guys some tips and tricks as we go down the list. Also, I'm going to talk to you about this right now before I forget. I am giving away not 2 weeks of Widget's Way for free. I'm giving away 1 month. So if you guys have questions, you guys are more interested in what I'm doing, I'm giving away free memberships to you guys. If you're an AAOC member, just feel free to scan that code and sign up, and you can cancel at any time. It's very simple. First tip I'm going to give you is always use blue ink. You know which one's your original document. It's pretty simple, right? Helps when you got to get those all together. Another one that I have is having a bedbugs certification can help protect your asset. It doesn't matter if your property is vacant or it's occupied. A bedbug certification tells people on that day and at that time there was no bedbugs in your unit. So if later bedbugs are introduced, you have a better chance of being able to charge that expense back to the tenant that brought the bedbugs in. So getting a bedbug certification that your property is bedbug free right before they move in, or even while they're in possession, is a great way to offset that expense when it bites you, because sometimes it does. All right, I'm going to talk about some things. Let's get ready. First thing I'm going to talk about is fogging techniques, okay? We don't always have the answer. We walk into a property and the tenant starts pounding us with all this stuff, and all of a sudden we feel overwhelmed like we have to have the answer. You don't. We don't wear every hat in this industry as a landlord and as a property manager. It's okay not to have the answer, so let me give you the best choice of words when you don't know what to say. Because we don't want to say, I don't know. It makes us look bad, right? Nobody wants to say, I have no idea. That's a new one for me. So what I want you to say is, thank you for bringing that to my attention. That's a great question. Let me ask my, whatever's appropriate, enter it there. My business partner, my legal counsel, whomever it happens to be. Let me ask them and I'll get back to you. I guarantee you when you answer a question that way, that tenant will then rephrase the same question a different way and throw it right back at you. Have the same answer. Again, thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'll let so-and-so know and we'll get back to you. It's very important that you guys are consistent, okay? Everybody got fogging techniques? No questions there? All right, fogging is great. I'm gonna give you the best one for fogging, okay? Tenant calls you and says, you need to come over here, I have a water leak. So we go running over there with our hair on fire. They open the cabinet under the kitchen sink and they say, see, I have a water leak, and the property manager looks down and goes, yeah, and mold too. Did you just identify mold in a unit? No, that's growth or discoloration. Just letting you know, okay? The N word is like the F-bomb in our industry, and we don't want to use it. Okay? Be careful with that. I'm going to get right into talking to you guys about your new vocabulary. Okay? We talked about fogging techniques and how to buy yourself some time. We don't look good in orange. Let's be honest. None of us look good in orange. I don't care what your coworkers tell you. None of us want to be in an orange jumpsuit. So, right? So what I'm talking about is when you talk to your tenant, use no absolute terms. Let's go back to 8th grade English class, okay? You guys all remember 8th grade English when you learned about no absolute terms like could, should, might, maybe, most likely? I'm not giving a definite answer. If you don't give a definite answer, you're not threatening someone. Let me give you an example. If you don't pay your rent in 3 days, you will be evicted. Did I just threaten you? So don't try to get involved with a noise complaint. It's just a problem waiting to fester into a bigger problem. Keeping activity logs, you guys. Let me say this to you and pay attention. If you keep a blank piece of paper in your tenant file and every time something happens, you open it, you write the date, the time, and the gist of what happened. So-and-so called on this day at this time, said they had mold in their unit. A couple minutes later, you called notified landlord. A couple minutes later, you called the restoration company. Maybe as much as PRC. I know they were back here earlier. That's your chain of events. It's so much easier if you guys have that chain of events in your file instead of trying to recreate it 6 months or 2 years down the road. Oh, let me look at my phone log and see what happened. I'll look at my emails. If you document it while it's happening, just a little blurb, it's enough for you to trigger to go back. Oh, they sent an email, it's in my note. Oh, they sent a text message, it's in my note. That way, when you guys have to go back to court and your attorney's saying, can you please give me your chain of events? All you do is pull out your activity log and hand it to me. You guys work smarter, not harder. It's really hard to try to remember what happened 2 years down the road. So keep your activity log. Also, if you guys have questions, I'd be more than happy to answer questions. I'm great with questions of all kinds. You have no idea. So feel free, just put your hand up and I'll get to you. Also, I'm going to tell you something that you guys usually don't always understand. I'm going to move to the move-out process, okay? Your tenant gives you a 30-day notice to vacate. What is the first thing we should all do? Notify them of their right to have an initial inspection. Yes? Everybody agree with that? Do you know what happens if you don't notify them of their right that they get to have an initial inspection? You lose if you want to deduct anything from their security deposit. Go home. You didn't notify them of their right to have an initial inspection. Therefore, you're not going to be successful in small claims court down the road. You need to be very careful that you're doing that when someone gives you a 30-day notice to vacate. There are 3 occasions where you do not need to provide that notice. That is eviction, abandonment, and surrender. Does everybody know those 3 terms well? Eviction, what that is, that's a legal process to gain possession of real property. Abandonment means you walked there and all of a sudden you found the door open and nobody's home. And then surrender is, hey, I left the keys on the counter, it's yours, I'm out. Those are the 3 times you do not have to notify them of their right to an initial inspection. Other than that, you have to. It's the law. And if you don't, you will most likely, see that word most likely, be non-successful in a small claims case where you're deducting things from the deposit. Okay? Very important that we know that.
Would you say it again before you say, I'm looking at it, you say exactly when or what?
When someone is moving out, that's when I give them the written notice. It is a written notice. I'm sure your association has it on file. It's a notice of their right to a pre-move-out inspection. 9 times out of 10, it doesn't say pre-move-out. We all think, oh, I gotta go do this. Initial inspection. Initial inspection sounds like it starts at the initial tenancy, right? No. Initial inspection is 2 weeks prior to them moving out. Okay? Because you should be inspecting those times. Also, we had a law change with photographic evidence. Please pay attention to this because this might bite you really hard. Pay attention. We now have to provide photographs of when they moved in, the damage that occurred, and when it was repaired. So train your vendors to send you a picture of what it looked like when they got there and what it looked like when they left. And now you're working smarter, not harder, for being able to deduct it. If you're during tenancy and the tenants live there 5 years and they break a window, giving you an example, and your window company says, yeah, that was broke from the inside out. We all know that means we're going to charge it back to the tenant, right? If you didn't take a picture of the damage and the repair, and you're going to wait until they move out to deduct that expense, you're most likely not going to be successful. Okay, so even in the middle of tenancy, we're now having to document repairs, especially if you guys all get, you all do it, talking to your legal counsel. And I'm going to explain to you why you get frustrated talking to your legal counsel, and hopefully this makes a little more sense to you. Sometimes we walk up to them and we say, hey, hi, I'm a landlord, how much can I raise my rent? And they roll their eyes and look at you like, give them facts when you ask them a question. I am a single family residence in San Bernardino County, not subject to the TPA. What's the maximum rent increase I have? I gave them all kinds of facts so they now know how to answer my question. If you don't do that, you're only hurting yourself. And remember, we learned those non-absolute terms. If you ask them a question and you start hearing could, should, might, maybe, most likely, remember one thing. I learned that from an attorney. Make sense? Okay. It's very important that in the event that you guys are facing an eviction, you have to understand something. In corporate America, evicting someone means we failed. Anybody here agree with me? If you have to go through the eviction process, you failed as a property manager. You have to hire a professional to help you. So we take it hard when we have to do an eviction. This mentality of, I'll just evict them and running down to the courthouse with your hair on fire, the world isn't that way anymore. I mean, how much money are you going to spend to prove you're right? What if we managed the situation better and came to a mutual agreement rather than off with the head, okay? We don't want to run down to the courthouse and open our wallet and give them our money. In LA City right now, you guys need to understand an eviction is costing between $65,000 and $85,000. It takes about 12 months for them to get out. If you're lucky. If you're lucky. That's enough time for you to go through the foreclosure process, right? It's not a fair system at this time. That's my opinion. So it's okay that you need a professional, but here's the next thing I'm going to tell you. If you're going to write a 3-day notice to your tenant and use it as a threat, hey, pay your rent or else I'm going to evict you, then do that. But when it comes time to call your attorney, the one that's standing next to you in the court of law defending you, you want them to create the notice for you. It creates accountability with your legal counsel, and they now become accountable if something's wrong with that notice. I mean, come on, you guys. When the wind blows, the laws change and the notices change every time the wind blows, right? It's hard for us to keep up with. So put the responsibility on the professional in the industry. If you want to use them yourself to encourage your tenant to pay rent, that's great. But in the event you need to get in an eviction trial and that notice is going in front of a judge or maybe a jury, you definitely want to make sure that all your T's are crossed and all your I's are dotted. So I'm not telling you to run to an attorney every time you want to serve a 3-day, but if you know you're going to evict, have them handle it. You're in a much better position of throwing it on the wall to see if it sticks or not. And none of us want to spend money that we don't have to. So very important that we're doing it that. Other things that you can ask your attorney when you're taking them a case is, what's the probability of me being successful? It's a good question for you to ask your legal counsel. What is the probability of us being successful in this case? Why do I say that? How much money are we going to spend to prove we're right? Okay? Sometimes it's a lot of money. We want to know, how successful are you going to be in this case, and how long do they think it's going to take? That's something I want to know. Because while you're evicting, you can't accept rent, which means I'm bleeding money in a single family residence. You guys got to remember that this is your business. It's a full-time career. It's not a part-time side hustle. You know, oh, I bought me an investment property and I'm just going to put some tenants in there and cross my fingers and hope and pray it all works out. We don't live in orange, and none of us want to sign up for a lawsuit. So if you don't know what you're doing in this industry, I highly recommend that you hire a professional property manager. And no, I don't do that, so please don't ask me. I don't manage unless my name's on title. services they use. Pay attention. What's going on with your investment? Even if you have a management company that you use all the time, ask them. And ask them the questions we want to know. When's the last time you took a fair housing course? You know, when's the last time you were in a litigation for something other than eviction? These are questions I would ask a property manager in the event that I wanted to hire them. Who keeps the late fees? When do I get paid? Those are all key questions landlords want to know. Anybody have any questions so far? No? Okay, this is great. You guys are awesome. Let's talk really quick about the new fridge law, AB 628. Okay? People get confused with the new refrigerator stove law. Okay? It can be quite challenging, and I think the thing that's most challenging is we now have to pay for it. Let's be realistic. We have to provide stoves and ovens, which I've been providing the entire time because I don't necessarily want my tenant playing with a gas appliance. Hey, what do you know? It's the refrigerator that seems to be a nightmare. There is absolutely no case law regarding refrigerator and stove at this time because no one has challenged it yet. Don't let that be you, okay? Case law is not something you want to get involved with. If you have an existing tenant that has lived there for decades and they just found out they could get a free refrigerator, you're going to tell them thank you for letting me know that your refrigerator is not working, and then go out to your garage and send your dinged and dented garage fridge over there if they're already in possession. If it's working and hasn't been recalled and it's efficient to the unit size, that's the requirement. Okay? If you have a vacant property, and we're going to talk about vacant properties because I know there's some people in this room that have them. If you have a vacant property, put a Mercedes refrigerator in there. You're trying to rent a vacant unit. Make it attractive. But if they're already in possession, you don't have to put a brand new refrigerator in there. If they're a great tenant and everything's been working great, that's fine. Also, I've heard people making mistakes like this. Well, I'm thinking of having them sign an addendum saying they could bring their own fridge and giving them a lower rent. And then if they want me to provide a fridge, they pay a higher rent. I said, okay, check this out. I move in it. I use my fridge, right? My fridge breaks, and then I tell you to provide me a fridge and I'm paying less rent. Stop trying to figure this out, okay? All we need to do is provide them what we're required to do. So in the event they need a refrigerator, go take them a refrigerator. If you want me to explain this to you the easiest way that I possibly can, it's gonna go like this. When does a month-to-month tenancy renew? Anybody? When does a month-to-month tenancy renew? Monthly. So we probably on our month-to-month should have some kind of disclosure or addendum on file with existing tenants right now. The other ones, we would want something in place if they're using their own refrigerator once their lease expired. It's good business practice. We would want an addendum on file for anybody with a month-to-month tenancy, and then you want to make sure you have an addendum when a lease expires if they're using their own refrigerator. Also, I'm pretty sure that nobody is familiar with a non-agricultural disclosure. Has anybody heard of such a thing? Nothing? Deer in the headlights? Okay, this is good. This is why you guys want to log on, okay? This is why I'm here. Check this out. A non-agricultural disclosure makes it so the tenant can't grow anything at the property. No avocado pit in the windowsill, no crop of marijuana, and no jungle in front of your apartment community that attracts mold and creates a moisture barrier problem for you. A non-agricultural disclosure stops them from growing things on the property. Remember one thing, a tenant's gonna pull out a card and go, look, I have a marijuana card. I can grow pot anywhere I want to. And you're gonna tell them, no. There's laws for that. And they're gonna say, well, I can smoke it too. Well, no, you have a prescription to use it, but I'm pretty sure there's no doctor on the universe that is going to tell a patient to inhale a carcinogen. It's not a prescription. prescription to smoke it, it's a prescription to use it. Don't make the mistake of confusing the two. Immediately people go, oh, they have a card, they can smoke marijuana. No, this is non-smoking. We mean non-smoking of anything. Non-smoking of meat, non-smoking of cigarettes, non-smoking of sage, unless it is for religious purposes, because we have to allow that one, okay? A non-agricultural disclosure stops people from creating jungles at your property when you pay the water bill. So that's a wonderful one. I have another one that I want to share with you, and it's one that I did myself called Animals Indigenous to the Area. And it's available on there for you, okay? Animals Indigenous to the Area. I had a tenant move into a property in the high desert area. They lived there 3 days and called me and said that a rattlesnake bit their dog and killed their dog. I was devastated. That's horrible. A pet's a member of the family. Yes, I rectified the situation, but I went running to my legal counsel with my head cut off going, how do I protect myself from this? He goes, well, you know, these things happen. They could be an act of God. That wasn't good enough for me. I didn't like that. So I sat down with legal counsel for a couple years until we all decided what a good addendum would be. Animals indigenous to the area. What does the addendum say? It says that animals lived on this planet at this property way before humans ever did, way before this house was ever built, and they could become a nuisance or a pest. Last week I had one of my clients call me and say, Patty, I got a problem, I don't know how to handle this. I said, okay, what's going on? She said, well, this property's down near the Salt City, and it has migrating ducks. I'm like, okay, what's the problem? So there's ducks all over this rental house. They're landing on the roof, they're landing in the pool, they're landing everywhere, and there's nothing we can do about it. They're migrating. It's like they're flying and stopping to take a break at her house. I said, things happen, right? I said, by any chance, did you have them sign the addendum for animals indigenous to the area? And she said, Patty, as a matter of fact, I'm looking at it right now. I said, good job, girl. Because now you can explain to them, hey, remember you signed that document when you moved in telling you there could be animals that created a nuisance or a pest? I mean, look at it this way. If we walk out of our house one evening to go to dinner and we get sprayed by a skunk, are we unhappy? We're not happy, right? We're miserable. What do you think your tenant's going to do if that happens to them? Who are they going to yell at? You? I don't want to call them me. So animals indigenous to the area is a great disclosure to help ease the situation when something happens out of your control. Are you guys having a big problem right now obtaining insurance with the LA fires recently, or is that not an issue in Orange County? Huge issue in Orange County. Okay, buckle up, I'm going to teach you something. In the event you're renewing an insurance policy, it might be in your best interest to include unlawful eviction coverage. I see all heads go down and pins go. I love it. Unlawful eviction coverage. People ask me, Patty, what does that do? I wouldn't unlawfully evict anybody, and not on purpose. But if you have a habitability issue, it could create that kind of a problem, and your insurance could help protect you from litigation. Okay? Also, I want to tell you guys, stay current with fair housing. Please, I beg you. That changes rapidly. I mean, if I look at 5 years ago versus today, and 5 years ago wasn't that long, that was the start of COVID. Everybody remembers that, right? If we look at that statistically, 5 years ago, I could say that I wasn't accepting Section 8. I didn't want to participate in the program. You can't do that anymore. You have to participate in the program. You have to accept federally funded programs. One of the things that we see with all of these programs that are trying to help the homeless, and my opinion is we don't have a housing problem, we have a homeless problem. Why? Because we are sitting at 10 to 15% vacancy rate. We can't rent our vacant units, right? Because we can't find qualified applicants. Does this sound familiar? It's not a housing issue, it's a homeless problem. Any questions? Just asking, okay. order. See how that works? Oops. Sometimes we're judged on the things that other people do. Sometimes landlords are looked at in a bad light. And we want to stop that. I mean, we want to be good landlords. We want to be even Steven. If there's one thing I get to tell you is how would you want to be treated if that were you? If you walk into the house and it is raining in their living room, before you freak out and panic and go, my God, my house, I hope my insurance is covered, I want you to say, I'm sorry, I can't believe this has happened to you. We'll get it addressed immediately. So show some compassion. What if that was you in that property? What if these things were happening to you? What if you were applying to rent a property? What if that was your daughter that was living there? Be a good landlord. Think about those things. We don't look good in orange and we don't like lawsuits. And I'll tell you right now, everybody in corporate America will agree with me when I make my next statement. If you get a certified letter, you're getting a lawsuit. Everybody agree? Corporate America, if we get a certified letter in the mail, we know we're going to get sued. Here comes a lawsuit. They go hand in hand together. In a single family residence, if the tenant's asking for more trash cans, it's because they have unauthorized occupants, right? They go hand in hand together. It's something we know is a fact. If you guys are looking for something that's a bad smell, be careful. It's probably something that's dead. Could have 2 legs, it could have 4, but you need to have that mentality because when you're walking around going, oh, I'm evicting these people, I got a smell complaint, I know that's food rotting in the refrigerator, I knocked on the door, I served a 24-hour notice, I stuck my key in, and now I'm dealing with the death at a property. Okay, if you're chasing a smell, your brain needs to tell you it might be something that is no longer living, so that you don't expose yourself to something you are not prepared for. Okay? Val, you had a question.
Let's give us more examples of unlawful eviction.
Unlawful eviction. Okay. I'm going to get into a little bit more detail on this, and I'm going to be careful what I say. If a tenant lives in a property and has a habitability issue, maybe they told you that the water heater was dripping and you totally brain farted and forgot about it. It happens, okay? We're human. That's leaking. They don't owe rent, right? But they're still paying you, everything's going along. They're picturing that. They're taking photographs, they're documenting it, and then they tell you they're moving out. They leave, they're gone, they're out of the property, right? Things are going along nicely, about 3 months go by, and all of a sudden you get served with a lawsuit for breaching the warranty to provide habitable premises and unlawfully evicting the tenant by not providing a habitable dwelling. That's the legal terminology, unlawful eviction. You didn't provide a habitable dwelling. Usually it's a defense in an eviction matter. Usually us as landlords can fix that quickly because they're still in the property. But when they're out of the property and they're gone, it's too late. So having that coverage is another way to help protect your asset. Yes, I said asset. Okay, more questions. Anybody? I know we're coming up on time. I'm the queen of questions. I can answer anything from security deposit dispositions to leasing questions in regards to that matter. Everybody? Nothing? I got nothing? Okay, I'm going to keep giving you facts. Okay, Val, what you got?
Do you have some way to communicate with you more often?
Yes, there's ways to communicate with me more often. Thank you, Val. You can join me on Wednesday with Widget. I do the training every Wednesday with an open format so you guys can have your questions answered. Yes, and I'll come to you if you wait because I got short little legs. Hello, baby. What you got?
So if this may be another question.
There's no
If an owner
problems, okay?
is we're managing the property and the owner is just sending you text after text saying, hey, I made this repair here, it's very hands-on, which we don't like it to be, but I sent this plumber to fix this, and I sent this, and I spent this much, but doesn't send any receipts. What do you recommend? If it's just messages after messages, like, hey, I spent this on fixing this, repairing this, and can you just log it in? Expenses.
In order for you to build that back to the tenant, did you take photographs? Oh, landlord wants to do it themselves. I understand. I would ask them, is your plumber documenting so that we can charge the expense back to the tenant? Is tenant caused damage? Because if they're not documenting and photographing, I can't. That's a simple answer. Usually it wakes them up a little bit. Also, without an invoice, I can't charge anyone. Says who? Says the judge in the courtroom. You owe me $50,000. Okay. So they want to see those invoices. So it's just very simple. You need to train your landlord. I know it sounds ridiculous, but we do. Just like we train our tenants to notify us if they have a water leak, right? Sometimes we have to train landlords so that they understand their involvement and our involvement. A real question. Here you go.
So I have a tenant that's and her fence is falling down, which it is, but it's a shared fence with a neighbor who's a tenant as well. My tenant, we tried to get a hold of it, she provided me with the owner on the other side, and that owner is not only not returning our call, but she's blocked us from calling her. So I can't get a hold of that owner, and I don't want to pay for the fence myself.
Have your legal counsel send a registered letter to the owner of record. Usually, a certified letter coming from legal counsel is enough to make us squeeze our cheeks. Right? Anybody else with a question? I saw you at a fan survey. I see one, please. Thank you. I got the papers. Anybody else have any questions for me? Yeah, I'll come around to you. I understand. The refrigerator laws, Assembly Bill 628, it came to an act January 1st of this year. The apartment association here should have some language in their lease for them to check if they're providing a refrigerator or if they're going to provide it. A good example that I've seen in the past, so I'm not giving legal advice, okay, would be something along the lines of tenant uses to which use their own refrigerator at this time, and in the event they would like the landlord to provide the refrigerator, they would do so with a 30-day written notice. Rather than, hey, it's on fire, come buy me a new one. In other words, 30 days. But that would have to be done in writing, it would have to be served upon them as a notice of change of terms or agreed upon in an addendum that they also sign. Everybody got that? Any questions? Any more? Nothing? Okay, I'm going back this way. Let's go see what's on the thing. I'm so short, you gotta yell, you gotta wave. Oh gosh, that's right. Sorry. She has a landlord that's extremely involved in doing repairs at the property. This landlord isn't documenting by taking photographs, and they're also not providing invoices, so it's very hard for her to charge anything back to the tenant without an invoice. Yes.
I have a question about landlord.
It's not me either.
A landlord who takes months to review a problem, can the tenants sue them, or can they do something other than keep writing them emails and saying the issue is still here, it hasn't been resolved? And the same thing, the landlord wants to take care of everything themselves, they don't hire professionals.
Cockroaches or rats?
No, rats.
Okay, I got 2 steps away, and my brain hears it as vermin. Okay, cockroaches and rats are vermin in the eyes of the court. God, that's bright light, sorry. I'm surprised my glasses don't turn back on. Squirrel? No. Vermin, thank you. They're vermin in the eyes of the court, so it's a habitability issue with no rent owed. I'm going to say that again. It's a habitability issue after 30 days and no rent is owed. Potentially, because it's a habitability issue if it goes on more than 30 days. Anything that you have as an amenity, like a dishwasher is an example. It's an amenity, right? Well, not for me, it's a requirement, but hey. A dishwasher is an amenity. If it doesn't work, it's like a swimming pool, right? But can they withhold rent if the dishwasher doesn't work? Yeah, if you don't fix it after 30 days, they sure can. They can even do the repair in that method. And if you think they're going to find the cheapest about bedbugs when you're taking their security deposit information. Tell them you can get them from moving vans. New furniture, used furniture. Bedbugs are bad, okay? You want to tell them when they're signing a holding deposit agreement, because check this out. They're going to go from their house with no bedbugs in it, and they're going to put their stuff in a moving van that's full of bedbugs because you didn't warn them. And then they're going to move all that stuff into your house, and then they're going to tell me that you gave them bedbugs. Educate them about bedbugs. Tell them to use a lint roller in the U-Haul truck and to look on it. If there's bugs on that, don't take that truck, and don't put that lint roller back in your pocket, okay? Be a litter bug. Just saying. Hey now, I'm coming back here. I got short legs. Come on. Stop.
I have a situation where I believe there's a couple of tenants who are smoking marijuana and it's contributing to neighboring apartments. Now it seems to be coming from two different angles. I've sent out notices and done inspections, but I can't quite pinpoint it. But I have some tenants who are really unhappy, and I'm trying to figure out what's the best way to.
So in a similar situation, I had a tenant, I had a property manager call me one day and say, "Hey Patty, guess what? I found out who's smoking pot in my birth building." I'm like, "Really? How?" She's all, "I crawled on my hands and knees down the hallway, sniffing under everybody's door until I found it. So then I knocked on the door, and when the door opened, this big puff of smoke came out, and I was like, oh God, what'd you say?" And she said, she made a comment about how their tongue was so thick with dry mouth or something. And I was like, "You did what? You made a comment about them smoking marijuana in the property?" No, we don't comment on them. We don't ask them if they have the munchies. We don't do things like that, okay? A better business practice, once we find out who's doing it, and an easy way to do that is change your heater filter. Oh, so when you pull the heater filter out, you put a date on it and drop it in a bag. And then go back 30 days later with the new one and pull it out and drop it in a hefty bag and write the date on it. Make sure you sign and write the date on it, seal it in a bag for court. Okay? That's one of the ways you can find out who's doing it, is check some of my tricks. Okay, I got a lot of them. I've been doing this a long time. But checking the filter is a great way to find out. The reality is they're going to tell you again, "I have a prescription to smoke marijuana." No, you don't. You have a prescription to use it. This is a non-smoking building. We have to worry not only about first-hand smoke and second-hand smoke, but do you guys know there's something called third-hand smoke now? Third-hand smoke puts the tobacco residue like in your air system, and then it releases whenever it wants to. 15 years later, you know how sometimes you walk in that house and you go, "Man, it smells like grandma's still in here smoking and I did all this stuff." That could be third-hand smoke. We are responsible for that. Go figure. But changing AC filter, heater filter is a great way to catch that type of activity. Remember, if you have non-smoking communities and non-smoking of anything, including meat, we can't define that you can have cigarette smoke, not marijuana smoke, barbecue smoke, not sage smoke, not this smoke. Just make it non-smoking of anything. It makes it a much cleaner break. It makes it much easier for tenants to understand. And we don't allow smoking here of anything. And they will say, "I need to smoke sage." Is it for religious purposes? Because I'd be more than happy to allow a reasonable accommodation for that. Okay, so really easy to do. If it's along those lines, a little bit more difficult to do when they're screaming and yelling at us, right? Oh, the red light is blinking. They're telling me I'm done. Yes, you had a question? I'll come to you.
I was just wondering where you get these filters tested to say that they have marijuana smoke in them.
Well, wouldn't you ask a third-party vendor to tell you what that smell is?
Where do you find this vendor?
I would look at a restoration company to help assist me with something along those lines. They're the ones that would go clean those ducts out anyway. So that's the professional in the industry, in my opinion, that would be able to help.
Several years.
It's a mess when somebody smokes in your unit, if you guys don't know. It can get wicked up in the drywall. It is nasty. It gets everywhere. It's yucky. That's all good. Anybody have anything else for me? Otherwise, I will go ahead and end this for today. Again, I invite you to join me at Widget's Way. We do an open class on Zoom every Wednesday. I call it Wednesday with Widget. Unfortunately, next Wednesday, I will be at a trade show in Pasadena, so I don't know that we'll be doing much Wednesday with Widget, but the following week, I will see you there. If you log on and join on, I'd love to have you, and feel free to steal my additional addenda that I have on the website. I have criteria lists and some other things to help you guys out with your management tools.
Highly recommended.